Hello, the great good people of Britain. I greet every one of you. I hope you are doing very, very well. All gearing up to go and vote, and I hope that everyone comes out. Let us all come out in mass to elect our next leader. Um, whether you want the Tories to carry on with their program and plan for Britain, come out and vote. And if, like me as well, you think that you've had 5 years of the Lib Dem Tory-led coalition government and that it hasn't really improved your life, it hasn't worked, things have actually got worse, then you also need to come out and vote. Because if you don't do that, the inevitable result is that the Tories will carry on and continue to cut. They have released all the parties have all released their manifestos and their promises and their budgets run up to the election, and it is evident that the Tories could not account for 12 billion of spending that they wanted to have. So it's inevitable that they're going to cut. There'll be a lot of services they'll cut, but they haven't actually, told everyone how they're going to do that. And experts reckon that they will be cutting benefits further, taking money and support away from the most vulnerable, the people that most are in need of this sort of support. And if you think that that is unfair, that shouldn't be happening, then you need to come out and vote and to tell David Cameron that no, thanks but no thanks. And we've had 5 years of your governance and it hasn't really improved our lives. Things have actually, for many families, many working class families, got worse than 5 years ago. All right, now let's get into some of the issues here. There has been a lot of campaign. We've had several of the leaders campaign, David Cameron saying, don't vote the UKIP, don't vote the Lib Dem, because if you do, you will get a Labour government, and Ed Miliband saying, don't vote the Conservatives, vote for Labour, don't vote the Green, don't vote the SNP, don't vote the Lib Dem, because you might have the Tories, so vote Labour. So for me, I am going to vote the Labour Party, the party for the ordinary working class people, the ordinary men and women out there who are on 0-hour contracts, who are struggling, who are working but they still have to go to food banks to be able to feed their families, who are working more and earning less, who could be fired at any time. But most of them they don't even have a job, they don't have a contract. So the issue of even firing is that they might tell you might turn up for work and they tell you to go back, they don't need you, and that's it. So that's the sort of Britain that we've come to see and experience for the past 5 years now. And if that's economic recovery, if that's a better future, if that's a better society and a better living standard, unfortunately, I don't subscribe to that. I don't buy into that. I don't believe that's the best that Britain could do. So I'm not going to allow that. And how what would I do? Well, I'm going to come out on the election, on the voting day, and vote. On Thursday, I'm going to come out and cast my vote and vote for Labour Party. I'm not going to vote for Lib Dem. I'm not going to cast any protest vote. I'm going to vote for the Labour Party, to have the Labour Party back in government, to come and look after the downtrodden, the disadvantaged people, the working class people, the people who are hard at work, who are struggling to make ends meet, whom primarily, traditionally, the Labour Party has always looked after. Not to allow the return of David Cameron and his cronies to come and give more tax break to the rich, the well-off, people who, as if they need those tax break, as if they need the extra 500,000, extra 10,000, for their holiday, or extra, few millions for their, private yachts. I don't really understand it. Why the poor people, the working class people have to pay more, and then the rich people pay less. If you understand it, then so be it. Use your vote, cast, return back the Tories. I think Tories equals to lies. Tories, lies. Yeah, that kind of rhymes. So that's it. So why did I say that? The reason why I say that is that David Cameron, before he came into power, after the global economic crisis, the meltdown, campaigned on lies. He blamed Gordon Brown, the Labour-led government, for what was not their fault. And because people understandably were angry, people will, lost their jobs, there were redundancies, and when you are in that kind of situation, you don't think straight. It's a natural thing that most of us could not think straight. Most people went out there, we're not happy with what's going on, and they casted a protest vote. They cast their vote, and then as a result, Labour could not win an overwhelming majority. Then the Lib Dem joined the Tories, betrayed the people, and then we have this calamity and these very fair promises and betrayals that we've had for the last 5 years, which is called the Lib Dem coalition, and the Lib Dem Tories, coalition. And Lib Dem, well, what can I say about them? I was at with the student union when, he came and campaigned, that he will, not increase the tuition fee. He stands against it and all that. Took pictures, had a photo call, opportunity, took pictures with the students, and a lot of students liked them, and they voted for them. They got the much vote that they got, on that platform. But then the opportunity they had to be in power. That shows how opportunistic these people can be. The only opportunity that Nick Clegg had to be a deputy, prime minister, he betrayed the students. He chopped in, that promise. He relented on his promise, and what did we have? From 3,000 to 9,000, boom. The tuition fee was increased, as they conspired with the Tories. But then, that's it. They've promised, they've changed. Well, I don't know whether you can trust them. I won't, so I'm going to vote Labour. The Tories, on the other hand, if you cannot be small enough to admit your mistakes, I don't think you can be big enough to take responsibilities. Labour admitted that they could have done more to prevent or reduce, to cushion the impact of the financial crisis, the global financial crisis. Remember, it's global. It wasn't just limited to Britain, Greece, Iceland, Italy, France, Spain, America. Most countries in the world experienced the downturn, which was crisis caused by bankers who played Russian roulette with our money and the money that they didn't even have. It was the bankers' fault. It was the bankers' crisis. Gordon Brown tried and rescued the ailing British banks so that they won't go bust, which in turn fed back into the economy. But the Tories, while campaigning at the last general election, blamed Labour for everything. Understandably, Labour was feeling, yeah, they could have done more. So they did not quite, vigorously challenge the lies that the Tories told. As a result, David Cameron got the votes that he got and became a prime minister. But for him to come back and run this very election again on this pack of lies, I think as ordinary British citizens, that's not acceptable. And that is why I'm making this very video, because we have one day to go before people start casting their votes. I hope that this video could be shared so that people would, hear. This is me, an ordinary person. I don't have any political position or anything, but I'm saying that I could read between the lines, and many of you out there are not stupid as the Tories think that you are. You know as well, and you can read between the lines, that Labour did not cause the crisis. They were in government quite all right, and maybe they could have done more. But that's the benefit of the hindsight. Had I known, if they had known, most of us maybe would have been there and would have felt the same way if we had known. I was watching a documentary this evening, and the interviewer was talking about the food manufacturing, the food industry, and the sugar, and the obesity, and the crisis in America. And Bill Clinton was asked, why was it that his administration failed the American government and subsequent administration? He said, for his administration, I think that not exactly the way he put it, but what he was explaining is that he was, he could have done more, but they did not understand why they were there, the enormity of the crisis. So it's good, it's easy to stand aside and blame someone. It's like when you see people playing on the pitch. You stand aside, you can see who's not tracking back. But when you get in there in the pitch, it's not that as easy. Well, an example, David Cameron himself. He's broken loads of the promises that he made, his campaign promises that got him into office. One of the most conspicuous ones, the big one, was that he will have the deficit. The deficit. He hasn't done that. So why should we trust him that another 5 years of the Tories will change anything, will improve our lots? People are working harder today than they did 5 years ago. People are earning less today than they did 5 years ago. The cost of food is gone high. People are spending more today and are getting less than they did 5 years ago. We have more families today going to the food banks than we had 5 years ago. And if you think that this is the best that Britain could do, I'm sorry, I beg to disagree. And as a result of that, I'm going to vote out the Tories. I'm going to vote in Labour. A party that will come in. A party that has admitted that they could have done more. Not a party that has failed and broken their promises and they are still lying and covering up, and instead they are scapegoating Labour Party, they are pointing fingers, they are blaming Labour Party. This is not a blame game. It is a reality though. David Cameron has been in office for 5 years and he hasn't really delivered. He talks about creating jobs. Creating jobs. What sort of jobs? 0-hour contracts. People are working and they're claiming benefit. People are working and they have to go to food banks to be able to feed their families. Families are choosing between feeding their kids or, heating their homes. What sort of society is that? And what sort of jobs has he created? I'm looking for one I haven't found. What sort of jobs has David Cameron created? There are a lot of people out there who stopped signing in. Because you go to sign in the job center, they make you feel very stupid, and the treatment is very degrading, and a lot of people have stopped signing in. If they had family members who are still maybe working, or some have even gone to food banks rather than go and sign in and sign on. And that is what you claim to be jobs that you have created. Come on, wake up, David Cameron. Come on. We're not stupid. We can smell coffee miles away, and we know that you're lying. We know that you're desperate. You're desperate to get back into the office, to give more tax break to your mates, to the rich guys. I'm not saying that every rich person is a Tory's friend, but the Tories has always cared for the rich people. The Tories has always been the party that protects the rich against the poor. Look down the history, and their track record. Margaret Thatcher, the milk snatcher, look at it. It's the poorest in our society that gets hit the hardest whenever the Tories get into office. If you do not want the Tories to carry on slashing, to carry on with these very unfair cuts and their austerity measure, you need to vote on Thursday to kick David Cameron out of Downing Street, number 10 Downing Street. Now, got my feelings out of the way. Let me go to a bit of substantiate some of the facts. This is a research and a compilation done by my father-in-law, Mr. Martin Thomas. He was former head of department at Stanfordshire University, so he knows his stuff. He's an author. He's wrote books on social work, so he knows. So this is not me. This is a research done by him. He says, at every opportunity since 2010, the coalition government of Tories and Lib Dem have drip-fed the electorate with narratives about the mess Labour left us in. This commentary, trotted out in virtually all interviews on radio and TV by